As spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of the Old Republic, we have the South Korean Terran player. We have the Red Terran representing Team Liquid. It is Kyor. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the South Korean Protoss player. We have the blue Protoss for Virtus Pro. It is a classic. Let's go. Let us go. And again, we had an intense back and forth between Classic and Percival, at least in game number 2. Again, I was very impressed with Percival's play, with his drop play specifically, but did fall apart as the game did progress. This time we'll see how Kyor does react, and we'll see how he does compare. Again, Kyor has some of the best TVP in the world. I would say it's up there alongside Clem and Maru, maybe even above their play as well. It's hard to say, but Kyor is top 3. He is top 3. Let's see how our players open up. So far, single gas opener. So Kyor is going for a faster command center, more economic build out of our Terran. And Classic is here to scout. He's here to delay. Here's delay. Kyor does get a CC on location. He's able to throw it down. Likewise, Classic back at home, going for his own standard opener. Because the map is so large, higher chance we just go into 2-gate blink into a third base for Classic. From the side of Kyor, we're expecting something a little bit more committed here, getting in towards the mid game. We'll see. We shall see. Again, our players are opening up. From here, we could see more committed mid-game play. We'll keep an eye on the Raxes. I'm not too fond of like 2-base all-ins here on the Old Republic, but we have seen Kyor go for these all-ins on larger maps just to try to catch his opponent off guard. We have seen that before. Classic is taking up, getting into blink once again, building up into blink, into his own second gateway. Likewise, we do have our 1-1-1 out of Kyor. From here, he can go in. I mean, we don't see any add-ons up here for any kind of Widowmine production. We have the earlier safety Cyclone. From here into tanks. Kyor is just setting up. Yeah, third base is on the way. So in fact, it is going to be 2-gate blink to a third base. A very greedy build here by Classic. But because it's a larger map, he should be fine, should get away with it. Kyor is going for the early drop. He's not going to be looking to harass like we would say with a Widowmine drop or with Banshees. But here he can start to be active and maybe even threaten the third base. Let's go. As we're still just waiting for the medevac. From here we can move out. Again, there's a lot of potential with this early Cyclone, and we'll see what Kyor can get done. Likewise, Classic going for his Robo after the expand. As the medevac does threaten a dive. We'll at least catch a pylon. Nothing major, but just pickoffs nonetheless. As the blink is not yet done. So Kyor can just lift, pull away. Behind the setting up his bio. Going for some auto turret harass into stim. Again, this is just a lot more what we expect out of mid-game TVP. Just a lot of harassing options. And the Protoss player trying to keep up. The byproduct of this is that the Stalkers are stuck at home. They're stuck at home defending. If you recall, against Percival, we saw because of the committed Woodmine play and because of the committed Mine play and the Banshee play, once it got shut down, Classic would move out. Here, the Medivacs is still active, the Ravens are still active, and this is keeping Supply busy at home. Oh no! As Medivac does overextend. Be careful, Cure. Cuidado. Raven does catch the Observer. It's a unique positioning here for Cure. That's a very tucked away tank. And it works. Does defend. Toss it back at home. Third CC's on the way. And again, we're just slowly building up into set mid-game. Again, it's this kind of play that we often don't see too often of, but it just depends on the vetoes. Depends on the map order. Just building up into set mid-game. Screw breaks out. Nice catch. A Classic building up to Colossus, not Storm. Colossus are amassing. The move out is spotted. Classic is racing back. Setting up here at his third base. We got plenty of charge lots. Classic should be able to hold on. Is that a second Observer? Okay. It's curious. Sniping a probe. The Medivac is still in between the bases. Likewise, Classic still commits units here to defend. Oh. Classic being forced back. Cure getting some ground. Nice force fields, locking down a good portion of the army. And Marines, Marauders getting caught out. Colossus is revealed. And Cure has to respect it. Has to respect the Colossus. Now, what's important isn't really the damage that Cure is dealing here. It's the fact that he's just keeping Classic at home. He's keeping him on his toes. And that allows Cure to expand. So CC is finishing and the third base cannot be taken. Yep, there's the lift. There is a CC. Classic going for a much earlier Stargate. Interesting. So earlier Stargate, earlier Fleet Beacon. Classic sharking around. Almost caught out. Classic is he wants that tank. It does commit in. Tank goes down. Oof. Nice mine shots. But Classic can overwhelm, and he will. Yeah, coming in from multiple angles. Colossus, they lead the charge. Only 3 Vikings. Very low Viking count. Curie has to pull out. Curie is going to be forced to pull away. The Medivac is finally dealt with. Nice focus firing. 7 probes. Not a bad amount of damage there by Cure. But overall, Classic he defends. He's now taking more bases. Classic has finally gained map control. It took a while. it took a while for that to happen, but finally taking more bases, more expansions. Discharge production has begun. And Cure's been able to keep up because of his map control, because of his aggression. He's been able to keep up here when it comes to the economy, when it comes to the base counts. His own 4 CCs on the way. Armies are close in supply. And we'll see if Cure can keep up. As Classic distracts, there is a War Prison. Does have the Prism towards the natural. Classic moves in. Moves in, pulls away. Prism does hit the natural. A bit of a late unload. Once a bit late. Classic force back. And he's taking every base on the map. Now, but there is still a difference here between what we saw against Classic and Cure compared to Classic and Percival. Classic is taking every expansion that he can. That is true. He is gaining map control, but Cure is the first to max, or at least they have comparable armies and they've had a comparable rate of growth. Higher chance that Cure defends his fourth base. Still comes down to the Novas. First Nova goes up. Nice armor shred. Shreds the armor, forces Classic back, and Classic is being forced into Sky Toss. Okay. Classic. So he's taken to the skies. This might just be for the mothership, otherwise we could start Tempest production early. We'll see. Okay, we're gonna be here for a while. As the armies are poking in. Nice spread here by Cure. Very nice spread. Cure's just perfecting his army, building up into Liberators, getting into his own Ghost Academy. A second starport's on the way. Was that the third? Yeah, third starport's on the way even. As Classic is looking for a way in. Late reaction out of Cure. He's stuck on the low ground. Uh-oh. And Classic, it makes his way into the mineral line. Yeah, Novas, they will zone. Oof. Yeah, connect with the army. Massive connections. Yeah, Marines going down, Marauders as well. Oof. The Novas are brutal. Vikings forced to land. Classic did trade well, but Classic has to spend his bank. Kite's Wave leads out more Disruptors. Meanwhile, we do have a massive Zealot Warp in here towards the natural. Classic does move in. This does force a reaction and response out of Cure. Does force a reaction. Alas, does waste DPS here at the Planetary. I feel like could have committed harder into the natural mineral line. Oh. Oh, Cure does stim in. Gets punished by the charge lots. And it's going to be punished. Classic maintaining his army. And Cure should never take a fifth. Technically, like should have a very, very hard time taking a fifth base. Even here on 4 bases is struggling. As the Prism gets in, the Warp Pit is going to be denied. Whew. Close moves. Clutch Call. Mothership is on the way again, just purely the Mothership. Moving forward. And punishing Cure. Again, there are just so many disruptors. And more Novas are connecting, gets into the mineral line. Vikings getting caught out. Oof. Yeah, more Novas connecting here. 10 SCV kills. Classic does spawn in supply. He does recall his disruptors back home, and he can rebuild. Can Cure do the same? Again, Cure, he is holding on. Gee, warping in 17 zealots at a time. That's a lot of charge, lots Bappy. It's a lot of zealots. With enough liberators, Cure can slow this down. He's got 4 liberators so far, getting up to 9. 9 liberators. Mothership going for the recall. Oh, isn't quite able to though. Mothership going to be zoned away. That means there's less to defend here on the front lines. Catching out 1, 2, 3 liberators. Once again, just trading well. And this might just be too much. If Cure had maintained his economy, different story, but hasn't been able to. And Classic going for the dive. Does focus on Liberators, getting 3. 3 Liberators go down. Novas, they're okay. They graze the army. And no major connections. Nice splits out of Cure. Splits well. Classic, he needs to keep trading. He's not trading as well as he needs to. Oh. Catching the Viking. Oh, Disruptor does not connect. No more Disruptors remaining, actually. How many robos are there? 3. 3 robos. Classic remaxing. I'd say Classic's high probe count is maybe hurting him here more than helping. Yami commits in. Going for the Nova. And Nova doesn't connect. Only 1 Disruptor. Once again, without splash damage. Cure, he's overwhelming. He breaks through. He breaks through. Not enough Disruptors. There was only 1. And Cure is winning fights. He's built up his Liberators. The ground army just cannot engage. Not against this many freedom zones. There's too much freedom. Oh. Oof. Decent Nova. Like in Classic, he does have all these expansions, but there's not really as much mining going on. So Novas are not connecting. Does towards the end. Classic, he wants that Planetary, and it looks like he will not get it. Planetary survives, punishing the charge, lots of Disruptors, the Mothership as well, it all goes down. Unfortunately, Classic can't, sorry, Cure can't move out. Cure, he needs to counterattack. Whenever he tries to, though. Zelts are in position. This is delaying Cure. And in that time, there it is. A triple Colossus production. That's a lot of Colossi. The Colossus are coming. And there's no Vikings, not anymore. Yeah, the Colossus are going to be ideal. Has been some impressive fights here by Cure, but he cannot stop the production here from Classic. Cure, he can't move out. He's trying, but he just cannot move out across the map. And has been trying. And army attempts to move in. This attempt. We're still waiting on more Colossus. Viking production has begun. So here come the 3 Colossi. There are currently only 4 Vikings. So zipping forward. In trying out position at the same time. I do have a Zella run by here and towards the natural, and just run by. Cure getting another expansion. That should not happen. It's also being cleaned up. As he rotates. Oof. There it goes off. 15 ACV kills. That's including the Zella run by here into the natural, into the main. And we get some nice vehicles here from Classic. Catching out Liberators. The Vikings, they punish the Colossus. They punish. And there's not enough to recall. Yeah, the Mothership is still poised for its own move. You know, a nice Zella run by. Gets a mineral line. Does threaten the bases. Keeping Cure busy. Cure still has yet to move out across the map at any point in this game, by the way. Like, he's been stuck at home for the past 20 minutes. Not like this. I mean, initially he was fighting for map control. True. In the first half. He's fighting for map control. We can see Cure in position here at his right-hand base. Center expansion is exposed. Zelsay bust in, shows his Novas. Oof. As the Planetary survives? No shot. Planetary does survive. Curie going for the dive, and he will catch this army. It looks like he's finally done it. He waited for the prime moment for the overextension. Disruptors go down, Archons as well, and Cure is time to just send it. Send it across the map. Keep going. We're going for the base trade. Now, Classic does have a 5k mineral bank, so that is a factor, of course. And Classic has a lot of bases, so he can afford to just base trade. Ooh, Archer's Spilin goes down. Depowers all 3 robos. Robos are depowered. Cure gets into the main, sniping more Archer's pylons, depowering as much as he can. The concern here is that there are just so few CCs for Cure. Like Cure, he should not win a base trade. Oh. Likewise, Classic is still maxed. He's in the main, takes out more CCs, more orbitals. Does recall back home. Recall's topside. And now we can just trade. Like again, Classic, he still has a massive bank. Gateways are lacking, but the bank is there. Classic set up. Noble's premature. So a decent kiting here out of Cure. Trades well against the Zealots, but remember, Classic should just back off. He should just back off and rebuild the Zealots. Rebuild his Gateway army. Classic going for the base trade once again. It could be okay, sure. Still trying to engage. Moves that across the map. Oh, nice drop here to Cure. And nice drop, nice flank. Center base goes down, robos are denied. Instead we have production on the right hand side instead. Production all over the place. That's curious. Should at least clean up top left. Again, it's supposed to be on Classic to slow this down, but Classic is heavily supply blocked. Oh my god. Classic, despite the bank, he cannot spend his money. Sure, he does have the much more efficient force. True. Much more efficient. It'd be a different story if there were like, what, 5 disruptors, but 0 disruptors left. Like, you're thriving here in the base trade. He doesn't even have any mining, by the way. Like, there's no mining. There's no potential for a longer game for Cure. But his army's just that terrifying. Cure stands bottom right. He moves in. Classic's out of position. Again, the best chance is to base trade anyway for Classic. He turns around? Oh. It turns back around instead. Down to 3 bases. Down to 3 expansions. Yeah, trying to collapse on the army. Bees do land. That is a lot of charge also. Classic trading well. Getting Southern Rollers, the Vikings, the Ghosts as well. Vikings a tank. Ooh, but liberation zones, yeah, liberators, they do reinforce. Another stim. Oh, there's some on the army. Classic turns around. Classic is already burned through his bank. The bank isn't there, not anymore. He does make in. Gets 1, 2, 3 liberators. There's still one left over. We're coming down to the wire. Curious Army has been the same for the past, what, 5 minutes? Ah. Guess what I mean by that? Hasn't made anything in 5 minutes. That's what I meant. Meanwhile, Classic does have some warp-ins. You're warping in a couple of High Templar. Oof, does feedback. Let's catch a couple of medevacs. It's still very, very close. Archons are a nice addition. There's only one ghost. But there's no battery. Yeah, there's no battery. Archon goes down. Classic diving on the forces, and it looks like Classic, he's doing it. Yeah, just he's doing it bad. GG gets called, and Classic, he does barely take game number 1. GG. Whew. GG, well played. Again, a very chaotic base raid here, as we had assumed when the base raid began that Classic would have the advantage just because they had so many bases and such a large bank. Despite that, that was still very close. Very, very close. Cure, he had the superior composition. He was taking better fights, better engagements, of course, but eventually he ran out of steam. Eventually was just outscaled by the economy that Classic barely had, whereas Cure had none. He had no economy, he had no CCs remaining, so he couldn't even mule or anything to add to his army. GG. Whew. GG, well played. Again, a bit of a slower kind of first game, building up into a longer game state, but we should be speeding up as we get into game 2. Going to be loading into Ruby Rock, a smaller map of the map pool. Let's go. I was dreading like a Mothership or a Celestial Enclave or a White Rabbit. In general, we've just had larger maps this broadcast, like period. I was shocked by that when it came to the Percival series. But here we go, spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Ruby Rock, we have the South Korean Terran player. We have the red Terran representing Team Liquid. It is Cure. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have the South Korean Protoss player. We have the blue Protoss for Virtus Pro. It is Classic. Didn't you have a ton of units queued up in those supply depots? Kind of. I didn't see anything queued up in the production tab. So yeah, no bank. So yeah, I don't think he had anything in the production. Yeah. So just catching up with the chat. Curious been playing well lately. He's been playing with purpose. I mean, Curious had like, I mean, to be fair, it was what, like 2022, 2023, where Cure had the best TVP in the world. That was taken away from him, and that went to Clem in more recent years, like 2024, like era of StarCraft, is when kind of like Clem took that mantle. But yeah, Curie's he's been at the top of Terran for quite some time. I guess you could definitely argue that Cure, he had a little bit of a dip end of last year, right? Like end of last year when the new patch hit. So like December, like November, December. Did dip down a little bit, but I think part of that was also because a lot of players are taking a break post EWC. A lot of players are taking a break. But it is very much in form now. we're just going into our own natural, into our own expansions. Once again, welcome though to one of the smaller maps of the map pool, and we can see already Double Gas open out of Cure, so much more active, going for the faster factory, going for the faster starport as a result of this as well. And we'll see if he does commit into early Reaper Hellion, into committed mine drops, into earlier Cyclone play or earlier Banshee play. It's just a more tech heavy start out of our Terran player. More tech heavy. Suika 2 has been really entertaining. Nah, I would push back against that. It's maybe just more eyes have been on him as of late. I will say that he had a really entertaining series against Sola last night. True. Really entertaining series. It is TVZ. The dive is denied, a nice defense here by Classic. Force fields the ramp, force fields the entrance. Ooh, even catching the Reaper as well. Very nice. Classic holds. Classic does hold on. The commitment to Reaper Hellion was not quite worth it. And we're going for the early tank production. Okay. So it looks like we're setting up for an earlier move out. This time I believe there was no early Cyclone. So faster tanks out of Cure. Building up his early tank, should be harassing with the Raven. And we'll keep an eye on his tank count. Second tank is on the way. Hallucination does get eyes on the add-ons. He's aware that there's no faster stim, not like previously. And does confirm the add-on swap. Okay. So the Raven does move out. And stim is on the way. And we should be working towards that stim timing. From the side of Classic, once again we do have much heavier gateway count actually. A little bit odd. It's 4-gate blink, but we have an earlier third expansion. Usually you get this third base after the move out. This time it's before the move out. So this is like a this is a more economic variation of 4-gate blink. It's still 4-gate blink Stalker, so there's still a heavy Stalker count, and a Classic is still pushing. Just a faster third. Nice rest in the main base. Meanwhile, back at home, Cure, he does have his 2 tanks out. He has a 3rd tank on the way, but most of his Marines are here on the low ground, and there's no bunker. Yeah, there's no bunker. We have a weak defensive setup here. Cure, he did see the timing of the 3rd base, but he didn't see all the gateways. Yeah, incomplete information. Tank is on siege. Oh no! Yeah, tank is on siege. He gets 1, he gets 2. 2 tanks go down. Massive pickoffs, and Classic is just overwhelming. Just overwhelms the army. Ay. No bunker, no siege tanks. And before we can even get into the mid-game, Cure, he will lose everything. He'll lose everything here. Again, Cure, he saw the earlier 3rd base. It looks like he assumed it was a greedier build. GG gets called, and Classic takes game number 2. Whew, GG. A very swift, a very decisive game here from Classic. Winding it back. Again, Cure didn't see all the gateways, but he saw the earlier 3rd, which I thought was odd. I was like, hold on, this 3rd base is early compared to a regular 4-gate blink build, but I would assume that this earlier 3rd base was also to lure Cure into a false sense of security, making him believe it was a greedier build than it was. When really we had all 4 gateways up and running. Classic, he committed. Again, no bunker on the low ground. Tanks run siege, completely caught off guard. GG. GG, well played. With that, Classic does take a lead in the series, does extend his lead, and now we're going to be loading into game number 3, going to be loading into Winter Madness. Oh, and again, this, in my opinion, this would have been Cure's game. Again, it's only smaller maps. Cure, he wanted to go for a push. Remember, he was going for earlier tanks. He was going for earlier stim. Cure, that's why he was on siege. He wanted to move out across the map. He wanted to be aggressive. He was denied that. And now we're loading into a much more macro game. A much more macro map, I should say. Let's go. Spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Winter Madness, we have the South Korean Terran player. We have the Red Terran representing Team Liquid. Down in the series, we'll see if he can bounce back. It is Cure. See in the chat, with the pants down. You see, Papi, see. The pants were down. Pants were down. Is in the top left-hand corner. We have the South Korean Protoss. We have the blue Protoss for Virtus Pro. It is classic. Let's go. Let us go. Ooh, but again, I don't blame Cure for the setup that he had. It's just unfortunately he was working with incomplete information, right? He did not see the gateway count. He didn't see how many gateways there were. He did not confirm. He didn't see the move outs either. The pants were down. And once again, double gas opener out of Cure, going for a faster factory, a faster starport as well. Last game, this led into early game Reaper Hellion aggression, which wasn't quite worth it. It was a rough opener out of Cure. We'll see if he finds more success, assuming that we build up into Reaper Hellion. Otherwise, we could go in a different direction into earlier Cyclone. So we'll keep an eye on Cure. Go. Yes, from here there's that faster factory. Technically this could lead into a one base all-in, but we typically expect that from players like Maru, players like Ryung, players like Gumiho. And Cure is typically not one of those. Yeah, typically not. That is an early tech lab. Okay, very interesting. If you recall, we were taking into consideration game two, where we saw Reaper Hellion. Here, early tech lab into, I would imagine, early add-on swap into early Cyclone play instead. A very different kind of opener. Very different. As there's a swap. There's your early Cyclone. And this can lead into early Cyclone drop with Cyclone into Cyclone into Marines, into Medevac. We'll keep an eye on Cure. At the same time, Twilight Council opener. As we load into a larger map, there's a higher chance that Classic just plays economic and plays standard. Just Twilight Council, 2-gate blink into a third base. Checking Classic's vision, he did scout both gases, he knows. He knows he should be a little bit safer. Should be. As here comes that medevac, here comes the drop play. Likewise, Classic does play it safe here. You can see 2 gates in production, so it's going to be 3-gate blink. 3-gate blink out of Classic. Going for a later third base. Hallucination does get across the map, does scout the mine drop. It's going to be 2 mines. Hallucination is shut down, but did scout the drop, and Classic should be getting ready. Here come the warp-ins. Drop towards the natural. Army's out of position. Classic should react. Should and does react in time. Oof. In saying so, the one Widowmine doesn't get sniped, the other does get away, not bad. And Cure can always go back in. You can always go back in, find some more damage. Classic going for the Prism before expanding. With this, he can move out. It's not anywhere near as aggressive as last game. It's only 3 gateways, but he's going for early Storm. A very safe play. Oh boy, we have heard a lot of dismay from Terran players when it comes to this build. That's going to be a Temple Archives before 3rd expansion. This means what? Early Storm. It means early Storm. Wait, hold on. That's not normal. Early Storm, but that's a lot of gates early on as well into charge. I'm curious if Storm is going to be research whatsoever. But I believe this will be hitting us very, very strong timing at the third base of Cure. Once Cure expands. There's the third base of Classic. So if they drop in, they one-shot SCVs. Oh, I'll pick up. Breaks the lock-on. Nice on workers at the same time. Auto-shot harass into the bases. 4 probes going down, not bad. Oh, lock-on on the medevac. Sorry, on the Prism. Yeah, Prism is locked on, but will barely break out. Just barely. Breaks out lock-on. Storm is indeed on the way. And this is a very early Storm timing. There's that third CC for Cure. And when Cure expands, the Classic should be there to stop him. Bearing in mind that this is one of the later third CCs. So Cure is going to be stuck on 2 bases. Classic enjoying his economy. Warping in another pair of High Templar. He's going to have 5 Templar in total. Going for the Storm drop. This is risky considering how low HP the medevac is. Cyclone is a little bit further back, which means the Storms will connect. And we'll see how quickly Cure reacts. As he goes the Storm. He gets 1, he gets 2. Ooh, both Storms land. That's going to be 8 dead SCVs. 9 even. 9 workers going down. Nice Storm drop. Remember, there's 5 High Templar in total. Now Cure expands. I would assume that this would be the time for Classic to push. But he's still building up. Observer does split the army. And Classic, he should be aware of the third. And here he comes. Yep, here he comes. As you mentioned, once Cure takes his third base, that's when the Storm timing has arrived. There's going to be 5 High Templar, at least 5 Storms. It's going to be a tough hold. And this is meant to kill. Or this can kill, I should say. So we have 2 High Templar in the Prism. Army's rotating over. The mines have potential. That's going to be a lot of Zealots. Ooh, some of the army already getting caught out. Yeah, cashing out 3 Marauders. Yeah, medevac gets targeted. Baits out one of the mines. She also storms. Oh no! Oh my god, Prism goes down. High Templar as well. Nice mine shot. Yeah, nice mine. Storm in the mineral line. We have what, 3 storms left? Yeah, 3 storms remaining. 10 SCVs go down. Cyclone comes from behind. Storm mainly zoning. And Classic did enough. He didn't kill. He wasn't able to kill, not completely. If the Prism was still with the army, then he could have warped in across the map and kept going. But he pulls away, and Cure's third is heavily delayed. With that, Classic getting a 4th expansion, saturating, macroing on up. Classic has momentum. And Cure is in a rough position. Things are looking rough. As that is earlier at 5, now 7 High Templar. No War Prism. Okay, Prism now joins our main army. Does join the army. Classic going for the second wave. This time there is a Ghost. There are EMPs. It's making 2 Colossus at a time. Ideally, Classic wants the mineral line. I mean, ideally he kills the expansion. Show gets dragged. Storm with the main army. Nice storms. Storms they pop up. There's still more storms left over. Yeah, High Templar, they're moving in. Ooh, EMP does land. Nice EMP. Yeah, very nice EMP. That's still 11 SCV kills. Catching at 1, 2, catching at 3. Almost 3 High Templar. No storms left. Classic forced to engage. So we lose the War Prism, he backs up, but again, that's still 14 dead SCVs. That's still worth it for Classic. It's still a worthwhile trade. And he even called some Vikings. And again, Kira's been just limping his way into the mid game. Does at least catch the Observer. Classic getting his 5th. Just getting his 5th base, looking towards to get a 6th expansion as well. Kira's still just stuck at home. He's stuck, baby. Does have a heavy ghost count, which is great and all, but again, we're moving away from High Templar at this point. Moving away from Templar, eventually towards Disruptors. Classic is just mass expanding. Taking all these bases. Once again, I appreciate those fixate on saturating the center base. Center Nexus. And Classic is maxed. And looking to trade. Prism's on the way. Massive. Oh my god, the EMPs! EMPs are crazy. EMPs everything. The Archons, the Colossus, the High Templar as well. Everything was clumped up. And Cure holds. Yeah, Cure, he holds on with those couple of EMPs. There's still some storms left over. They connect once again. One storm lands. Yeah, lands one. Lands the second storm as well. Going for the Vikings. Oof. Another storm in the fire. The storms are so crazy. Oh no. And remember, Classic has the bank. Oh. Kira giving chase. Classic does go for the run by, pushing with the main army. Once again, the EMPs will land. I think there's one storm. Yeah, one storm available. Storms of Vikings. Vikings, they dominate the skies though. Oh my god, as we stand in the storms. Jesus. Yeah, Storm still does gain value. Did reset the Colossus count, but we have 2 more Colossus coming in, and the Viking count is getting low. 5 Vikings left. Army blinks in. Vikings being focused down. Looks like they do get 1 more Colossus. Yeah, 1 more Colossus. Oh, and GG gets cold. We could have had 1 more final fight here, but Cure, he had nothing left. He had nothing left. No economy, no army, no supply. GG, and Classic with the 3-0 will claim the series. Will be the WardiTV Monday number 76 champion. GG. GG, well played. A very, very intense back and forth here. Was a 3-0, yes, but I'm still thinking about like the base trade in game 1 or game 2. We saw, of course, Classic go 4 gates, blink, fake out the third base, and catch Kira with his pants down. There were still some more dynamic moments. When it came to this final game, we saw that Kira, he had a rough early game, unfortunately. He was shut down early on. Classic, of course, he went for a different build. He went for early storm, was able to get damage done with the storm drop, and of course deal economic damage at the third base as well with the charge, with the storms crippling Kira early on. And Kira just had a really hard time getting into the mid game, just was losing so many SCVs, so much of his economy. That is one of the strengths of this build that that Classic went for, especially when you have a map that does have a bit of a more open third expansion. I'm thinking of Winter Madness. I'm thinking of not Ruby Rock, the other one, Old Republic. That's it. Thinking of the Old Republic as well, where you can lay siege upon that third base a little bit easier as the aggressing player. And Kira, he just wasn't able to protect his mineral line, wasn't able to defend. Usually against this kind of style, you have to be hyper defensive. It doesn't feel good, but you have to just turtle up and get your SimCity, your depots, your bunkers up and running to disrupt the charge lots. You need your EMPs to be on point, and you have to be quick to pull away from your mineral line to save those workers and just hyper defensive. That's typically why we have heard a lot from players like Clem, who have a lot of disdain for this build, because it takes away that aggressive nature and some of the aggressive tendencies and the aggressive strengths that someone like Clem has to be active on the map, to go for drop play, to be aggressive. Here you have to be defensive. GG, well played. With that, congratulations, Classic. He will claim the series. He will be our champion. My condolences to Kira, but Kira did well making it to the finals. Made it all the way to the grand finals. And again, even here in the finals in this best of 5, we had that back and forth. The scoreline doesn't reflect the games themselves. But GG, well played. Whew, and with that, we are going to be wrapping up for the morning. Going to be wrapping up here for the morning broadcast, catching up with the rest of our schedule. You can have a look here. We just wrapped up with our early morning Thursday cast, and we do have the podcast this evening. That is our weekly talk show, our weekly podcast. What do we have to discuss this week? We do have the Cyril interview. Cyril, he had an interview with the SE historian. I still have to tune into that and start to catch up to that for that this evening. We did have a StarCraft Evolution patch, which I still have to go through as well. I do apologize. I'm sure there are people watching that enjoyed our coverage of StarCraft Evolution. We haven't casted SC Evo all year. Part of the reason for that is that there's been a bunch of patches. Some of the replays are broken, so we tried to have an SC Evo cast like last week, but we weren't quite able to do it. We should be getting back into SC Evo casting next week though. StarCraft Evolution League, the weekly is number like 19, 20, the 2v2. We should be able to cover them in the coming weeks. So back in SC Evo. But there was a big patch that we are going to be going through as well. I haven't gone through it myself in regards to the changes being made. Once again, like, we've just been out of the meta for StarCraft Evolution for the past 3 months. So I can't necessarily kind of like speak with any authority as to the current meta and what changes need to be made. A lot of my perspective on SC Evo are from like December of last year at the most recent. So when it comes to like the meta and how things have been shifting, I can't say too much on SC Evo. For those who don't know, SC Evo is a mod that is brutal versus StarCraft 2. But there was a big patch. So we'll be going over that. Of course, we have the big news regarding NetEase and SC Boy. I don't think that was that posted to Reddit yet? I have to get around to doing that if no one speaks on it. But like that was huge news, by the way. For those who maybe haven't been watching recently, and for those who haven't been keeping an eye on news regarding StarCraft, and I mean, again, that's what the podcast is for. We did get some massive news from the Chinese scene. NetEase, they have of course been NetEase. We already knew this. We already know that they have a StarCraft development team, and they have been updating the game. They've been working on StarCraft. That's the reason why, for example, I'll switch over here. If you didn't know, that's the reason why we got a hero portrait. If you recall, after Hero won Thunderfire, we got a hero portrait in game. The reason for that is because NetEase, they are actively like able to patch and work on the game, and they've been able to push things like that through. They were also behind the fix to the arcade, which did occur last year, was implemented more recently. But NetEase, they do have an active like StarCraft development team, and they've been working on their own things. And we were curious what was that going to lead to, bearing in mind they're doing this with all of their Blizzard IP games regarding to Diablo, World of Warcraft, and Overwatch. I think those are the ones that come to mind. but they've been you know, adding their own kind of I was gonna say assets, but they've been updating the games themselves, and they did actually do some polling for the Chinese community as to what they want for StarCraft, and I think the polling is still open, but it has some interesting things that they're proposing to add to StarCraft, and one of those things that apparently, I didn't know this, but apparently SE boy Xiaose has been very vocal about this, about unit rotations. I haven't thought it through enough. It's interesting. And I don't know if I don't think I'd be opposed to it. It's just yeah, it's an interesting kind of approach. It is a way to keep the game fresh depending on how often we have the rotations. So what that means, for example, is and I should make this clear, this isn't just for competitive games, this is for the StarCraft ladder. This is for the SE2 ladder. Imagine a world where for one season, which is like around 2 months, 2 to 3 months, you have like Dragoons instead of Stalkers, right? You rotate out Stalkers, you rotate in Dragoons, maybe for, and it'd probably be for like 3 or 4 different units each season. Imagine you have, I don't know, you have like the Brood Warrior Firebat instead of the Hellbat. Imagine you have the Diamondback instead of the Cyclone, so something that's like more like StarCraft 2 related. Doesn't have to be Brood Warrior units, it could be any unit. Imagine you have the Herc, remember the Herc from the beta of Legacy of the Void, the Herc instead of the Cyclone. Imagine if you have like Goliaths instead of Thors, for example. Again, Defilers or Corsairs. The idea of rotating out and rotating in units on a seasonal basis. And the advantage of that is that if something is imbalanced, it only lasts a season. Like if something isn't quite working, isn't quite fitting, it's only going to be for a season, pappy. Then they just rotate it out anyway. So that's like one advantage of that. It also does keep the game fresh. It forces players to adapt quite quickly on a more regular basis, and it forces the meta not to settle too much, assuming that the changes or the rotations are impactful enough to actually affect the meta. True. So that is a fun way to kind of keep the game fresh, which isn't solely relying on like balance patches, right? And on adjusting units. It's like an alternate way to liven up the game, if you will. So there's some other changes that are being proposed as well. So yeah, it's definitely an interesting take. I know that there are some StarCraft purists that don't like the idea of unit rotations. They prefer the idea of just like minimal patches and maybe like mainly focusing on like maps instead, which I fully understand. That's like the traditional approach to StarCraft for sure. Like this new approach is very different to what we're used to, very different, and it's hard to really, I would say it's kind of hard to envision whether it will be a positive or negative thing, just because something like that I don't think has really been done in an RTS. We have these like rotations more commonly like in MOBAs and things of that nature. So yeah, it's definitely an interesting kind of approach. Whether it gets popular enough like votes and kind of backing to push it through, we'll see what happens when it comes to the polling that's being done and things of that nature. But yeah, definitely an interesting idea. Definitely an interesting idea that's being proposed for StarCraft, and we'll see what happens. We'll be discussing a little bit more in depth in regards to tonight's podcast. We're discussing, but yeah, I should also emphasize as well that this isn't like, you know, like hopium or copium as to what's to come in the future. Like, no, there's precedent behind NetEase like updating the game and working on the game, and this polling isn't from anywhere. It is from NetEase themselves. So like, this is something that has a high chance of actually happening. It's just kind of like what direction we want the game to go in, which is exciting. It's exciting to know that there's something coming in the future, of course, in regards to StarCraft, for sure. Is exciting. But yeah, with that, we are going to be wrapping up here for the morning. Gonna be wrapping up. Oh. You enjoy the watch. Hope you get the recognition you deserve. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Papi. Thank you in the YouTube chat. We appreciate it. Gracias, Papi. Gracias. But with that, we're going to be wrapping up here for the morning. As I mentioned before, this evening we have the podcast, and I do have to catch up with the Cyril interview, and ideally catch up with the patch notes as well. Meanwhile, we have the KSL tomorrow. That's going to be Korean StarCraft League. That is from this weekend, which we weren't able to cast. And then we have RSL over the weekend as well, and the Platinum StarCraft League. So plenty of content, plenty of StarCraft throughout the course of the next couple of days. As I mentioned before, StarCraft Evolution and 2v2 broadcasting should be returning to our schedule starting next week. I think next week or the week after that. Let me just double check, because again we still have a lot of catching up to do. But let's see here. There's Kung Fu Cup. Yeah, should be coming back on the 3rd of April, and then SE Evo comes back. Yo, where did we put StarCraft Evolution? What? God, our schedule's so busy, Pappy, so busy. You have Amantis. Probably on the week of the 7th, so 2 weeks from now. But yeah, we got a lot of catching up to do. Hopefully before more GSL or more RSL is going to be coming around the corner. But otherwise, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. We do appreciate it, and we'll see you guys either later on tonight for the podcast or tomorrow for KSL. See you then. Until then, ciao, papi, ciao. Hasta luego. See you next time.